All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for game 3 of tonight's Prime Meta League kickoff of week 3. We got Jumbos versus Sock Puppet Rodeo. And tonight, Ackolyte's bringing you the play-by-play, and my buddy bringing us the color casting tonight is...
Orc Cop here to do the color casting today. So Jumbos versus Sock Puppet Rodeo is an interesting matchup. Who do you have for winning? Personally, I gotta put my money on Jumbos, and not just because they beat us last week.
Jumbos had a pretty good game last week. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a pretty convincing win. Sock Puppet
They
Rodeo...
stomped us.
Okay, I was trying to be nice. Sock Puppet Rodeo, I saw them in the very first week. They played against Murder of Crows, where a magician subbed in for their jungle, and they had a pretty... Actually, he subbed in for the Murder of Crows, and it went very late into that game. It was like a 40 or 45-minute game there. So I'm interested to see what Sock Puppet Rodeo does in a competitive match. I know they played last week, but we're getting straight into the draft, and right away we see that Skarner ban. That Skarner ban threw you guys for a loop last week.
Yeah, definitely expected. That it's the kind of cheese pick where like one team is going to get got, and then everybody's going to ban it. We've seen it.
The it's going to get banned, my friend.
We got cheesed. It is what it is.
Yeah, and Bessa being good.
Maokai very early.
Yeah, early Maokai, you could flex Maokai in 3 different lanes. Usually you see him in the jungle, but you could also play support. With the Skarner pick, I wouldn't be surprised if the support likes playing stuff like Maokai. But we'll see more as the draft goes on.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable flex pick, but it is a weak pick, I would think, at the moment statistically. So you kind of sacrifice power for flexibility. On SPR, we see that they're thinking about the Kane. So that's the entirely opposite kind of pick. That can't be flexed at all. Very inflexible champion does one thing, but a lot more power in the singular champion.
Hey, what you got against Boss, man? Boss top lane Kane?
Cheese works. Nico coming out from SPR, so that's probably a support Nico, right?
Definitely. More often than not, you see support Nico could flex into the mid lane if they don't like the matchup.
Okay, so we're gonna see Graves, Ezreal. You're having a farming junglers on both teams, a thing that we haven't seen very often in this league. A lot of Xin Zhao and Jarvan we've seen a lot of, but we haven't seen this Kane Graves kind of mirror farm matchup before, where both champions don't gank well and just kind of want to farm it out. Probably going to be a lot slower of an early game than we're used to in PML.
Graves is, when you see solo queue versus competitive pre-made matchmaking, pre-made, you usually have those junglers, like you said earlier, the Xin Zhaos, sometimes even the Sejuanis or the Zacs, like something that enables team fights, where Graves is kind of like you're putting your eggs into your jungler's basket. Aaron Loaf, a very good jungler, did very well last week from the jungle spot. So I could see him taking the reins and putting the game in his hands as well. But you do have that late game scaling in the Ezreal once he gets to those 3 or 4 item threshold points.
Right. Ezreal is going to spike a lot earlier in the mid game than the Yunara we see from SPR, but Yunara is definitely going to outcarry once we hit 4 items. The champion just does an absurd amount of damage late game. This is looking to be a very slow sort of game so far from the picks. None of these champions want to be aggressive in the early game.
Yeah, we see Nico with the flank angles is kind of where the engage comes from Sock Puppet Rodeo. We have the long range engage from the Maokai. I believe Nico could throw out her clone to kind of create a little space for herself and her team. So pretty good counter pick that I didn't think of until I just casted it. But let's look at those bans down here. We see top lane coming from Sock Puppet Rodeo, and they lock in a Captain.
There's no way this gets blocked, right? Yeah. Okay. Mordekaiser makes a lot more sense. So that's top lane Mordekaiser. Kind of a generic pick. I'm not sure why we're first picking Mordekaiser unless the top laner for SPR is very confident in his Mordekaiser.
Yeah, Yeah, and Dinar blind picking in Dinar is going to be kind of unfortunate, but it's who do you give counter pick to? Do you give it to your top laner or do you give it to your mid laner? I believe the mid laner from Sock Puppet Rodeo, if I remember correctly, maybe the lowest elo on his team. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But
he is not. The jungler is, but they are both in Emerald. That does put them at the low end for this league. Usually, see, I personally I would always take the top lane last pick just because top lane counter are so much more brutal. Like this Mordekaiser and the Star is going to have a very, very bad. Like this is a very brutal matchup for Mordekaiser to deal with.
Yeah, but you could also look at it as, one of your teammates is going to get counterpicked. It's going to be one of the solo lanes. If you have trust in Chacona, who was a very good top laner, I mean, he could probably feel more comfortable going into counterpick matchups than our friend from Sock Puppet Rodeo. You're just itching for that Kassadin hover, aren't you?
Are we see? Oh, and they lock it. We are going to see Kassadin. What a crazy ass pick! I mean, you don't see a lot of Kassadin anymore in solo queue or in competitive play. Although he has become a bit stronger with that dual tier build that's become popular. But is a champion that just takes so long to scale. I mean, he doesn't do anything for like 20 minutes. So Sock Puppet Rodeo scaling is really, really strong with the Kayn, Yunara, and Kassadin. Although their front line is a bit underdeveloped, but Jumbos have a lot more winning lane matchups. I mean, Victor is going to keep Kassadin shoved under tower. Nara is going to brutalize Mordekaiser, and Kayn's not an active jungler who can bail those kind of lanes out.
At the same time, I mean, Jumbos has a team that likes to kite. You have Smokescreen, you have some slows, you have the gravity field. They like to kind of extend the fights. Whereas when you look at the side of Sock Puppet Rodeo, Kassadin and Kayn are just these hyper mobile carries. They like to get the 20, 30 minutes and get themselves big and beefy. And there isn't really any kind of lockdown. When you're playing into hyper carries such as Kassadin or Kayn, you want that point and click CC. You want the Nautilus ultimate. You want the Leona Q.
We have Maokai W.
You have Maokai W, and that's only for one of it. And if Kassadin Rift walks away, Maokai Rift with him.
Maokai W is extremely brutal into these kind of champions because it's a point and click root, which means that the duration is actually much longer than you would expect. I believe it tops out at like 1.5 to 2 seconds, which is longer than a similar stun. Like Leona's is only a second. And the range on it is very, very large, which makes Maokai very flexible at shutting down these kind of like blink in type champions. I think the Maokai is a very strong pick for Jumbos into this. It's kind of weird to pick Kassadin into Maokai, but we have determined that we're doing Kassadin. But SPR is going to scale really well if they can get there, but they don't really have a path to getting there because they have losing in every lane, and their jungler can't bail lanes out. It's going to be a very hard struggle to get to that point. If they get there, it's an almost guaranteed. But
yeah, they just gotta survive. Jumbos has to play very, I don't want to say cautiously, but they don't want to have too many careless deaths. They want to do, try to tower dive and things go dramatically wrong, and then they can just watch the game slip away slowly after that. Jumbos also got to make sure they're working on counting, making sure those minions are adding up right. If the math ain't math, and Nico's around to make a play happen.
Yeah, we are going to see the Maokai be in support, which means that's going to be a very active map mobile support. Very strong, and like those level 4 to 6 skirmishes around early dragons and grubs, where Nico maybe doesn't excel as well because her stuff is all skill shots. She's not as tanky. She doesn't have access to that big team fight winning ultimate yet. So in the early game, the Maokai roams are going to be a very strong thing for Jumbos to do, and is going to put a lot of pressure on an already weak map from SPR. I apologize. That was completely incomprehensible. We're having some robot issues.
Oh, no worries. What's the robot's name?
Well, we are in League of Legends, so I guess it's probably Blitzcrank.
Nice, very clever. Uh, but meanwhile, I was seeing Sock Puppet Rodeo in terms of their engage. I mean, we said Maokai can engage from far away, and then there's follow up with the True Shot Barrage with the Graves ultimates. They are able to get these long range picks
Yeah,
and to
victory.
start those fights a lot more easily than SPR can.
Yeah, Jumbo's just their engage is a lot stronger. They have a good ways to start fights. SBR has a lot of pick potential in Kassadin, Kane, Dive, but not really the backbone of the team to support it. I mean, Mordekaiser is useless in these sort of dive comps because if you ult the guy you're diving, you can hit him. And Yunara is not the ADC that you want to be playing with these hyper aggressive dive comps because she's so vulnerable on her own with just a small dash in her ultimate. On the draft, Jumbo's draft just looks a lot more solid and a lot easier to execute, while SBR are really gambling on getting to the late game in a non-losing game state.
When's the last time you've played Kassadin?
Couple of months ago, I think.
Yeah, I start playing Kassadin. I'm like, okay, yeah, I haven't played him in a long time. This used to be fun. Let's see what happens. And then the whole game's over by the time I get to level 10, and I'm like, okay, I didn't get to play a game.
Yeah, that's most of the Kassadin experience. You really have to pick him into like very specific team comps or very specific lane matchups where he can get CS without dying or getting bullied off the wave. And Victor is not that. Victor is going to be able to have a lot of pressure on Kassadin, outpush him at almost every moment. I don't understand the Kassadin. If this is some tech, if they're cooking, I'm in, but I don't see how this works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the solo lanes going the way of Jumbos, but in that bottom lane, do you see Nora out damaging the Maokai Ezreal?
Yunara Miko's. Oh yeah, the double range thing is going to make the lane a lot more annoying for the Ezreal Maokai, but I don't think we drafted Ezreal Maokai to win bot lane. We drafted Ezreal Maokai to park Ezreal under tower and run Maokai up to the top side of the map. So as long as Ezreal can reliably farm with Q, not die, very easy to do when you're playing Ezreal, it's going to be quite difficult for SPR to get anything more than CS out of bot lane. Which is what Yunara wants, but I don't think that Yunara can solo carry this game, especially when we picked two other high-scaling champions. It's just a lot of resource requirement for SBR to start actually playing the game.
It's going to be where the mid game, or that's the trouble, is really going to come in for the cat, and especially trying to avoid the push. Because you don't really need to win your lane per se if you're going and pairing up with Graves and just making Kane's life miserable, going 2v1 perma in his jungle.
Yep. The Kane pick that early is just so exploitable. I think that's a fairly significant error, and that if you want to pick that kind of champion in the jungle, you have to do it later. Because as we've seen, it leaves you open to this, like, he's going to be getting invaded by Graves Maokai. Nobody wants that, especially not Kane. At least we didn't see any Renekton picks. That would have been worse.
NA Renekton, staying away from that.
Also, I'm just noticing that SBR is extremely heavy on magic damage. Even Yunara does split damage profile, so they are very, very heavily in on the magic damage, which into Maokai is not exactly what you want. All right, looks like we're starting.
All right, getting into the game. I'm having a little bit of internet connectivity. If you wouldn't mind kind of walking us through the early parts while I get this fixed up, that would be really good.
Yep, no problem. I can handle that. So both teams looking like they're going to do the standard fan. We haven't seen any aggressive engages, I think, even a single time in the league so far. Most teams are just vaulting to this fan, getting wards on enemy red buff, enemy Krugs, bot lane looking to posture for positioning here. Ezreal getting in some reasonably meaningful poke here in the early game. why we're not just standing under our tower here on SPR. It looks like Graves and Kane are going to be starting on opposite sides of the jungle. Graves will be pathing down towards bot side, and Kane will be pathing up, which that does make sense. There's not a lot that Kane can do to affect the bot side of the map at this point. So, although it is unusual for Kane to start at blue buff, usually Kane will start at a smaller camp, clear faster with Q, but this path is just fine as well. So far, things look reasonably balanced, although we are already seeing Kassadin start to lose push in the mid lane. Kassadin starting Darkseal, which is very common for these Kassadin players, just because it does give you access to a lot more sustain in lane, and because you're Kassadin, you don't really want to fight anyway, so you don't miss out having the extra stats from Doran's Ring because you're just playing like a coward. Gnar is getting the shove in on. Yeah, see, this is what we were talking about the lane matchups, is that top and mid are both just getting out-shoved. There's very little that these champions can do to actually control the lane against their lane opponent. It looks like Mordekaiser might be trying to set up a freeze, but Gnar can break that so easily, being a ranged champion, having long-range wave clear. Very nice dodge on everything there. Wow, that Gnar has some extremely good feet. Kassadin doing his thing of starving for CS by getting it with Q. Mordekaiser taking a very risky trade with Gnar here in the top lane. I think Gnar could have killed him.
When you see make, I mean, Narc's going to wear you down, so maybe he tries CNA to make something happen. But like we said at the beginning of the cast, they just need to hold on and get that scaling. I don't think they really want to be trying to take those risky plays.
Yes, but Gnar is on the other team. I think Gnar, there in that fight, if he just, like, flash autos once, he had 2 stacks of his W. Mordekaiser is about 100 health. I think it's enough, although I respect the decision not to go for a risky play. Graves going for a very risky play here. Ezreal takes an extra tower shot and is forced to heal.
It was looking really dicey with the barrier from Yunara just holding on just long enough. Graves did not get the pop on his Q when he fired that into the wall, and that allowed Yunara to walk out. Thankfully, they were able to keep their lives because Ezreal stuck around just a little bit too long, and he almost took that extra turret shot, which would have led him to his death.
Yep, trying to cheese it for an extra Q. And here we see Kassadin just getting massively out-traded by Victor. This is what we were talking about. This lane is impossible for Kassadin to control. He's just like starving for CS here. Gnar has had his wave right here in front of Mordekaiser's tower in this perfect freeze position for like 5 minutes. It's been a while. Several waves. And it's just, you can see in the CS numbers, top lane, that it's Mordekaiser's just having an incredibly rough time getting anything here.
That's rough. He still has his teleport, it looks like, as well. But in the mid lane, I mean, we saw that Kassadin was taking the lower end of some trades, and the wave was eventually pushing into him anyway. So if Victor can get him into a position where he freezes the wave in a perma-pushing state and makes Kassadin vulnerable, that may open him up. But otherwise, first 3 minutes of the game, minus losing some summoner spells, and nothing too scary yet.
I believe the standard play against Kassadin is to just shove him under tower because he is so bad at CSing under tower. And it can deprive him of CS, which is otherwise really hard to do in mid lane, although it is Kassadin, so do it.
Yeah, once he gets to 6, it'll be a little bit easier for him to kind of roam in, blink around, dodge some lasers, and get that CS that he needs. But you're right. If he doesn't have that auto attack reset with his W, his Nether Blade, it might be pretty difficult. You see he uses Null Sphere, mitigates some of that damage, so that way he can shove the wave into Victor. Victor's not going to be able to freeze a wave that big, and Kassadin's just going to go home.
It's a really good spot to trade, but I will point out that he lost that trade even after having 5 minions backing him up. It's just very hard to trade early on Kassadin, although we are finding a window here just to get a back, so it was good enough. Kane is just looking kind of homeless, like nothing for him to do. His jungle is gone. He's level 3 now. He's level 4. Graves is securing Scuttle on bot side, and Kane just has nothing to do. There's no gankable lanes. This is a really rough spot to be in, especially because he's not getting any of that passive scaling so that he can achieve that form.
And Graves is looking for a wraparound. We know Yunara is missing the barrier right now. Nico becomes a minion in plain sight. They're stepping up. Here's the flash twisted advance from the Maokai. Knocks both of them back with the Q, and they're just going to focus their sights on the Yunara. Nico sticks around, thinks maybe they can help, but has to walk up the river through the jungle, and that's first blood over the Jumbos.
Yep. Very well played from Jumbos. Just a very clean Graves gank. People have seen this a lot, I think, in PML, where we get these wraparound ganks on bot lane that see it almost every time because we're just... Bot laners are not warding. Ward your try. That won't happen to you.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes King can get a little creative with his pathing. He can use his E to get through walls and make it kind of difficult. But Graves, it looks like, was just able to, like you said, walk through the tri-bush and wrap around. I think I see a ward kind of preventing him going in from the blue buff, but Mordekaiser is going to engage onto the Gnar, uses the ultimate down a level, but he is in the Delph Realm. Gnar goes
in a
mega.
bad spot. Does the Gnar have ult?
Gnar, yeah, he has to flash away, and Mordekaiser, even being a level down, still taking that trade and is able to put some big damage onto the Gnar, but now no ultimate.
Yep, and then, okay, so Mordekaiser has just flashed as well. That was a pointless flash. It was a good play to get the Gnar flash, but then chucked it in the bin by flashing himself. I think. And now it might look rough for Gnar, but it's actually kind of even because if Mordekaiser can't hit E, he can't ever kill him. So
and
it really
Nico's
just
in a
comes.
bad spot. Went a little bit too far forward. There's the twisted advance. The aftershock going to get the kill. Mordekaiser not going to be able to land the E, and Gnar is just trying to return the damage. Almost gets the return kill on the Cheetah Tinkles, but he's able to get the first kill in the top lane despite being down 20 CS. Good pressure from the Kane to help out with that gank.
Yep. Gnar overstayed his welcome. It's very easy to do on Gnar because you feel so safe being in mini, even if you're low, because of how mobile he is, but... just got a very strong gank there from Kane. Caught out of position, overextended, and gets burst before any response. Graves is going to go for these rubs.
Yeah, and Kane was inside with his ultimate as well, and they're going to be forced to kind of dance off. Here comes Victor with the laser. Flashes forward, uses the Q, gets the proc, and Stucker gets a kill.
You might be able to beat Graves, but every single one of his lanes has prio.
Exactly. He's going to have that backup no matter what, and that's just what's going to make Graves or make Kane a difficult pick. He kind of needs to be able to go in and mess with some people to get some stacks on his passive, but, I mean, it's always going to be a losing fight.
Yeah, there's no good place for him to pick fights. He can't pick fights mid. Their skirmish is terrible. His top laner's losing. He could maybe try and make something happen bottom, but Gnar ult, dodges the Q.
Yeah, just getting some damage on him. It's never really going to be an all-in from this perspective. Gnar has to kind of wear him down a little bit, especially by utilizing his hyper and his W procs.
Yeah, Mordekaiser very difficult to dislodge the W.
And
we did see the Nico play, but she did get caught anyway.
Yeah, forcing the barrier out of Yunara as well.
Very risky thing, very bad spot to be in is Yunara because we saw how easily she can get dived.
Okay, so overall in the game right now, adding this all together, it's about a 1k gold lead to Jumbos. I mean, Kassadin doesn't have any health to help him sustain. Usually you'll see them kind of rush that Catalyst, but going for the blasting one to have a little bit more power. Yunara having a rough time against the Ezreal as well.
We might be seeing the double tier build from this Kassadin where you go Seraphs immediately into Manamune, which is extraordinarily greedy to do in this game state. Don't do that. But it is something that I've seen be popular. Kassadin players. It gives you a lot of scaling. That might be the reason to skip the Catalyst here, but we are seeing the results of that decision in his inability to live in mid lane.
And you see Kane kind of steps up and tries to put a little pressure on the bot lane, but Ezreal just able to blink over the wall with the arcane shifts, and there's just no way for them to lock anyone down if Nico's not in range or not getting a good flank angle.
Yep. Why is Kassadin still mid? He is baiting his own death. He just needs to recall. We needed to do this a wave ago. Okay, very confusing.
It's just that greed. Sometimes you think, oh, I think I can get it. I think I can, and you can't.
Yeah, you can't. Also, I'd like to point out that Jumbos have built before that previous fight where they got the kill, that we were at 0-0 and they had a 1k gold lead. They built that gold lead entirely off of CS and lane control, which is what we were talking about. They have every lane losing. It's so hard for them.
It's just a matter of, can they stop the bleeding? Can they get to the point where their champions are super relevant and they can play the game? And Cassidy uses the Riftwalk in, the Gravity Storm drops immediately to discourage him, and he's just going to walk away. So Victor, no ultimate in the mid lane, but I don't know if he's really too afraid of being ultimateless in the mid lane. Still has his Flash Summoner spell and still probably has that ability to bully. Up 11 CS, do you think that's enough so far, or it's more of a team issue right now?
I mean, it's not nothing. I think Victor could be playing a bit more aggressively, force him out of this lane, but he's been doing his best and has been getting him quite low very frequently. This cast is playing extremely greedily. Maybe I personally would rotate jungle focus to mid to just like crush this Cassidy who's sitting around at 300 HP under his tower. We're going to see an ult again from the Mordekaiser into the Gnar ult, and he's just going to kite out this Mord ult his own. Yeah.
He's definitely too beefy for Mordekaiser to pick an all-in right there as well.
Yeah, especially he's rushed Merc tabs.
They're going for it. Here's the shield from the Mordekaiser. Is going to keep him alive. Meanwhile, there's a fight on the other side of the map, and they're going all in, and it's a bloodbath in the bot lane. Nico ultimate is popped, but it's not going to be enough to get anyone low enough. Kane is trying to do some damage. Caston's trying to Riftwalk, but all the damage is spread so far out. Caston's in a rock spot. He has to blink away, use the Riftwalk. Nico might be Twisted Advance under tower, but here's Victor just being able to step up with no repercussions whatsoever. Is he going to take the Blast Cone? He doesn't, but they see Nico under the tower, currently cloned as a Kassadin, so the damage on the health isn't true, but here's the True Shot Barrage, and he is exposed, and Victor gets his Q, and he is on a killing spree, and that's going to be a big win for Jumbos.
Love the patience from Victor to just clear the wave and just wait for his wave to crash under tower for that clean dive instead of trying to force anything. Very well considered, intelligent play there. And this is what you can't do as Sock Puppet Rodeos in this game. You can't contest objectives. You can't take team fights at 8 minutes. Your team can't do it. Kane's not in form. Kassadin has level 1 ult and no completed items. Yunara doesn't exist. She's not real. It's just, you can't be taking these fights.
Yeah, you see Kassadin go in trying to trade some damage down, and it's just instantly a losing trade right away. Victor just burns the ultimate, goes on the reset, and Jumbo is going to shift their bot lane into mid, and they are accelerated enough to take us to the mid game.
Yep, they are already taking that first bot tower. We'll probably see the mid lane rotation from bot lane that we're very used to. Gnar going in very hard on Mordekaiser here.
Yeah, Mordekaiser taking a little bit more than he can chew.
Nico shows up, and Nico cheesed!
Nico cheese, yep. Counting is too hard. Math is hard, my friend. Kassadin forced a Riftwalk away, taking a little bit too much damage. And here comes Kane to put some damage down as well, but doesn't get anything. And I wonder how close Kane is to form, because I feel like Kane hasn't been very involved anywhere on the map. It's probably taken him forever to transform.
I can't tell because of this. Okay, he is transformed. That's Blue Kane.
Okay.
Because his W continued after he moved. So, Blue Kane, wrong choice. I'm sorry to say it so bluntly. Don't fucking do this. You do not need a dive assassin. That is not what your team needs. You have Kassadin on your team. Why are we doing that?
Yeah, you need some CC, you need some frontline, you need someone who's going to be able to survive a couple rotations of spells. That's what you need. The Nico surprise lands onto the Maokai, but they're just not in a position to take advantage of a lot of opportunities.
Yep, and SPR were late on their mid to bot rotation, which did mean that Kassadin just gets poked out by Ezreal, and they get to take 3 plates mid for free. You can't be slow on your macro plays like that. You end up losing a lot for every second that you take to make that decision.
Okay, so 10 minutes into the game, about 2,500 gold down.
Yep, 2.5k advantage on Jumbo. I think it is. I think Jumbo is very, very in control of this game at the moment, even though it's a fairly low kill game. They've already secured bot tier 1. They have the dragon. They have the grubs. They've taken every objective. They're controlling the map really well. SPR needs to find a way out of this hole.
I think it just comes from waiting, not trying to force something too much, because usually when you overforce something, you just dig yourself into a bigger hole. Just waiting for an instance where you see, like, okay, they're all moving to an objective. Maybe they move to Rift Herald, and you can catch that straggler. Or you can catch someone just going for the extra ward that they don't need, just waiting for them to do that little bit extra.
Yep. SPR are now waiting on Jumbo to make a mistake. That if Jumbo plays perfectly, they will win. SPR
and here comes Jumbo. Yep, there's the Maokai ultimate. Kane uses ultimate into the Graves to try to get away. Here's the flash away from Kassadin, and it looked like a pretty long dive was going to happen, but here's a Mordekaiser with a very deep flank. And a Delthro is going to come up.
That is a dead Mordekaiser.
Yeah, he's in the middle of everyone right here.
He might get Victor, but he's still going to die. Nope, he's just dead.
Yeah, just stuck in the gravity field. He's going to come out and just going to get decimated by the extra 3. Yep. And there goes Cheetah Tinkles.
Again, very late rotation. Very, very late. At that point, you never press the teleport button. You have to press that teleport button 10 seconds earlier or not press it at all. That kind of halfway play is the exact kind of play that loses teams game.
And they were out. You saw that Kassadin had to burn his flash, but Kassadin could have got out because they moved their engage to so many different people. But then Mordekaiser just kind of offered himself onto them for a free plate.
Yep. It's a salvaging play, and you can't be doing that. Kane going at Ezreal, I don't even think he wins that fight, which is very, very bad spot to be in as Kane. Look at the naked enemy ADC and go, I don't think I can win that.
Yeah, definitely looking very dire. They still have to, set up their vision. Nico has been able to surprise people with some plays, has been able to cheese. I mean, when you get too comfortable in a winning position, sometimes you can leave yourself susceptible to not doing the basics. Maybe sometimes reaching a little too far to clear that ward that you don't need to clear, like the obvious pink bait ward. But Jumbos probably have learned from their previous mistakes and should be able to clean up their gameplay a little bit.
Yeah, I don't expect Jumbos to make significant mistakes. They're quite a good team, and I don't see them making a mistake large enough that SBR can dig themselves out of this, but it's always possible. We're going to see, this looks like a rather aggressive dive from Jumbos. Gnar is quite low.
Yeah, they probably feel comfortable enough to make it happen, but they just decide not to. Very good control.
Kane nearly gets 3 shot.
Yeah, that's an ouch kabibbles right there, man.
We have Kane has tier 1 boots and Horizon focus and Axiom Arc. What?
Yeah, I think pretty far behind his jungle pet as well, I believe. That's probably 5 camps it looks like?
Hard to see, but I would imagine 4 to 5 camps left, yeah. It's not going to be like a hugely relevant difference because he's going to get it before they can't contest the Herald at all. But it does put a timer on like how far behind he is. He's down 11 CS, so about 3 camps. It's just not a good place to be in, and the item choice to Axiom.
And it looks like Kassadin ended up going for the Rod of Ages, so he built the Blasting Wand first and then went straight into Roa. He didn't do the Catalyst build for the Survive. Maybe he was looking to get a little bit of that extra AP for that early fight, but it just went south in the bot lane. And Mordekaiser just in space to Oblivion, forced to go into a shield. There's the Death Realm, but the Gnar ultimate pushes him back, and he's just going to wait for the ultimate to expire. And now there's no ult for him. Jumps in, gets the wall up, throws a rock in his face, and Chakana with a solo kill on the Cheetah Tinkles in the top lane. And it's just suffocating if you're Sock Puppet Rodeo.
Yeah, they are just getting very slowly choked out. Jumbo are playing this in a very controlled, slow, sort of Korean style of play, which I'm very glad to see. That leaves no room for mistakes. They're not doing anything aggressive or... Okay, well, this is a mistake.
Maybe just a little bit. Victor overstaying his welcome. Kane ultimate is burned. Cassidy gets stopped by the gravity field. And there's a teleport. Victor's able to teleport away.
Incredible. And they get mid tower. Even the mistakes are plays for Jumbo. They're really excelling in this game to find a play like that off of a colossal macro error that your mid lane gets cut out. Very good.
And Miko disguises herself as a minion, puts some full damage onto Nara. Nara just ults her into a wall and jumps away. Just swats her away like a fly.
Yeah, Nara is going to be on his full Triforce after his recall here. Ezreal's sitting on his full Triforce. Nara doesn't have a completed item at all. Mordekaiser's not sitting on a full item, and he's building Rylai's. He hasn't finished his 2,600 gold Rylai's. Nara is... Okay, the item graphic. That's what's going on.
It's a little defiant. It's saying...
There's no way that Nara is sitting on Fade, Sheen. Yeah, okay, he's got two. Yeah, he's almost done with his Triforce.
Yeah, we're seeing some graphical errors as well. I was saying that Ezreal was level 8, and I think he was at least level 10.
Oh my god, okay, my bad. He's got we were seeing 2 items on Gnar, to 1 item on Mordekaiser, which is just incredibly brutal. Yamu's Axiom Arc on Kane into Collector Hubris on Graves. Kassadin has gone Manamune rather than Seraph's Embrace. Oh.
And they catch Cheetah Tinkles out again. He forces the ultimate onto the Maokai, just trying to get anything he can onto the support. Death Realm's going into expire. He tries to E to get away, but it's not going to work. Here comes Kane into the middle of all of them. Blue Kane using his W to put some damage down. But here's the Gnar ultimate. Jump flash onto 2 of them. And I see an ace in the near future. There's 4. Here comes the last one. Can they get on top of the Yunara? Graves uses the blast, going to get over the top. Where's the smoke screen? It's not going to be there. There's the buff shot. There's the auto attack. There's the double kill. And there's the ace for Jumbo.
Jumbo's going to win this game. That Yunara hit Graves 6 times and did 300 damage. This is very bad. They're going to lose bot tower. They probably lose the inhib as well. What is Graves doing?
He's going all the way to the top lane.
We're hardcore drifting. Yeah, he's good control.
That's impressive.
Is he going to take it to another lane, or is he going to just slam it into... He's taking it back to another lane.
He's going back.
Okay.
Bring it around town.
At this point,
Bring it around town.
At this point, we may be screwing around a little.
Maybe. I thought, I couldn't see the other side of the map. I thought, okay, maybe he's going to finish off the bot lane tower. Is that going to be a little bit too much? Puts down a smoke screen and then just like 2 taps the Kane. Gnar on a rampage. Here's the Kassadin trying to make something happen as well. There's a flash from the Rift Walk. Great play from Graves. And Cheetah Tinkles is there to offer himself up again.
Yep, we're done.
There's the 3rd. Aaron Loaf is on a rampage as well. And let's see.
Jumbo's
can they make it before 20 minutes?
Jumbo's is inarguably the strongest team in the league, like by a mile. This is crushing.
100%. 100%.
I mean, we've reached the point where they can't get picks anymore. We just saw what happens when Sock Puppet Rodeo tries to get a pick. Graves is strong enough to just turn around and instantly kill the person trying to pick him. That means it's nigh on impossible to get back in here. How do you win this game if you can't even get picks?
Yeah, I mean, how much of it is coming up to draft, though? I mean, we identified the problems in draft really early on. I mean, if there would be a game 2, would it be a little different? I'm not sure. Jumbo's gameplay is just so clean. Their discipline is just on point.
Yeah, Jumbo is playing this like a Korean team from 2015, just very slow, choking gameplay, restricting resources, and slowly pushing SPR out of the game without giving them any openings. It's very impressive. They're doing some crazy shit.
Yeah, and it's counterintuitive. You don't think that they'd want to play slow with the scaling from the other side, but now it's to the point where their lead is so insurmountable. It's now just don't give the lead away. Yep.
Very controlled play in the early game, getting exactly as much as they needed and not overextending it for greed, into collecting a very, very commanding position. I mean, SPR is going to lose their mid tower. What do? Then Good Nico
good engage from Nico. Uses the ultimate, pops up 3. Maokai is pretty low. Here's the ultimate from Yunara as well, but they just get kited to oblivion. Cheetah Tinkles looking for a flank. Is he going to be able to get on top of him? Uses the flash Q to get on top of the Ezreal. Ezreal's not going to be able to get away. Uses the arcane shift and the flash to get over the wall, and Cheetah Tinkles is in the death realm for not much longer. Graves taps him, and Aaron Loaf is unstoppable. Gnar is diving really deep onto the Nico, I believe that is. Not going to be able to finish up the kill. Gets tricked by the clone. Casson is going to try to Rift Walk, but there's just not a lot he can do. Some damage coming from Yunara. Gnar is going to go onto Yunara. Try saying that 5 times fast. And they're going to set their eyes onto the Nexus.
This is where Jumbo wins. Casson can't do anything. He can't even clear the wave. This is why Casson is such a risky pick, by the way, is because if you get behind, he doesn't do anything. He can't clear the wave because he's melee. He has to blink onto the wave. It'll kill him. If this was Xerath, he could at least shoot Qs at the wave. But, yep, very dominating performance from Jumbo. Really, you know, they were 3-0, 2-0 coming into this, and they're 3-0 coming out, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon.
Neither do I, my friend. Neither do I. It was a real breath of fresh air to see some clean League of Legends. I mean, we love the 30, 40-minute bangers, but sometimes you just like to see a team be clinical and surgical in their approach, and Jumbo's was that today.
Yep. I got to commend Jumbo's coach, whoever they are, because they are doing a great job at directing that team in a very controlled, intelligent fashion. Wonderful game from Jumbo's. SPR not failing. It's not, you know, an insult to SPR. They put up the best fight that they were capable of, but Jumbo's is just such a domineering team that it's going to be hard, I think, for anybody to find a win against them.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if draft was different? Maybe it's a different type of game, because that was a pretty big draft difference. You did mention earlier, you know, kudos to their coach. If I said player of the game, I'm like trying to think, okay, who would be player of the game? And it's coach.
Yeah. For Jumbo's player of the game is their coach. If you have to give it to an actual player in the game, I think you have to give it to Graves. But everyone in that team just played within 5% of each other, just solid all around. Thanks to both teams for a really interesting match to watch. I wish both of you guys luck in the next week, although I don't think Jumbo's needs it. And thanks for spending the time to come out and cast with me, Ackolyte. It was great to do this with you. We will be back next week, same time at Monday, 6 p.m. CST. Start the week 4 PML.